Okay, so it says radioactive material slowly decays over time. The amount of time needed for an amount of radioactive material to decay is half of its initial quantity, which is known as the half-life. So you guys don't know that yet. But consider a 20-gram sample of radioactive isotope. So what they do is they give you the graph. So you really don't have to know this information. The important thing is what you start with, right? So at time, so this is your time. So this is the time that's elapsed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So they count the time in lives, but so for instance, at 0, right, at time, so you just need to really understand that it's time 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So at time 0, you start with 20 grams of material, right? And then at time 1, so after 1 life has passed, you have 10 grams of material. At life 2, you have 5 grams of material, then 2.5 grams of material, then 1.25 grams of material. Okay, so what's happening each time? So what you were supposed to do was to find the pattern. So if we look at the pattern, right, we can see that the time increments are 1 each time, right? So plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. But if we look at this pattern, we don't see any real pattern in our Y values. We see that they decrease by 10 the first time, they decrease by 5 the next time, they decrease by 2.5, they decrease by 1.25. So do you see a pattern with those Y values at all?
It's going by half.
Exactly, because you can see that the difference is half of what it was before, so it's decreasing by half. So when you you have a common multiplier, and so your difference is to divide by half each. I'm sorry, your divisor is to divide by half each time, right? Or either multiply by 1/2. So divide by 2 or multiply by 1/2. So this one would be exponential, right? Because you have a common divisor.
Wait, why?
Because exponential is the only one where you don't necessarily have a difference. You don't have a constant difference, but what you have is a constant multiplier, right? So this one is a constant multiplier or divisor. Okay, and another way we can prove is exponential. If you're not sure, what you can say is, okay, let's take 10 and divide it by 20, right? What do we get?
2. Sorry.
Take this value divided by this value. What does that reduce to?
The half.
1/2. So if we do that again, let's take 5 and divide it by 10. 5 divided by 10 gives us what?
Half.
1/2. Let's take 2.5 and divide it by 5. What does that reduce to?
1/2.
That's also 1/2. And then the last one is 1.25 divided by 2.5. And we know that that one is also what?
1/2.
1/2. Okay, so each time, so you're dividing by half, or you could say that you're multiplying by 1/2, which is the same thing. Okay, so whenever you have a common multiplier or divisor, then that means that your function is exponential. So the parent function for this one will be what? Y equals?
X.
Huh?
X squared.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
X squared.
Not x squared, exponential. What's the parent function for exponential?
A x.
Yeah, a to the x.
Oh,
and
okay.
Exponential is the only one that does that pattern.
Okay.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
Not really.
Okay,